BTS News Today. On December 21st, 2025, something subtle yet seismic rippled through the global BTS fandom. It wasn't announced with fireworks or teased by cryptic trailers. There was no countdown clock posted by HYB, no carefully edited teaser video, no press release hinting at what was about to happen. And yet, within minutes of the notification appearing on millions of phones across the world, ARMY knew instinctively that this was not going to be just another live broadcast. This OT7 live would feel different, heavier, more honest, and, as many fans would later describe it, quietly life-altering. The live began without spectacle. The camera quality was raw, slightly imperfect, as if no one had bothered to polish the edges. The 7 members sat together in a way that felt almost domestic rather than staged, their positions casual, their clothes unremarkable. It looked less like a global supergroup addressing tens of millions, and more like 7 men gathering after a long day, deciding to talk because silence had become too loud. That alone set the tone. BTS, for the first time in a long while, seemed less interested in performing an image and more invested in simply being present. From the first few seconds, ARMY noticed the atmosphere. There was laughter, but it wasn't the energetic, variety show laughter fans were used to. It was softer, tinged with something reflective. Jin smiled often, but his eyes lingered on the members beside him as if grounding himself in the moment. RM spoke calmly, his voice measured, as though each word carried weight beyond the sentence itself. Suga leaned back, listening more than speaking, his expressions revealing more than any commentary. J-Hope's warmth was still there, but it felt protective, almost like he was holding space for everyone else. Jimin and V sat close, their shared glances subtle but emotionally loaded. And Jungkook, usually the most playful in lives like this, appeared unusually still, attentive in a way that immediately caught ARMY's attention. As the minutes passed, it became clear that this live wasn't centered around promoting a comeback, teasing new music, or reacting to content. Instead, the conversation drifted naturally toward reflection. They talked about time, about distance, about what it meant to grow together and apart while still remaining one. None of it sounded scripted, and that authenticity struck ARMY deeply. Fans flooded social media with messages noting how this didn't feel like a performance at all. It felt like a confession shared in real time. What truly marked this OT7 live as a turning point, however, was the way the members spoke about the past few years. Without delving into specifics that could be sensationalized, they acknowledged exhaustion. They acknowledged fear. They acknowledged the pressure of expectations that never seemed to shrink no matter how much they gave. RM's words resonated strongly when he spoke about learning that leadership sometimes meant admitting uncertainty rather than pretending to have all the answers. It wasn't dramatic, but it was raw. For many ARMY, hearing this directly, without filters, shattered the illusion of invincibility they had subconsciously placed on him. Jin followed with a gentle reflection on responsibility, humorously framed at first, but gradually revealing a deeper truth. He talked about carrying joy for others even on days when joy felt distant, and how learning to be honest with himself had changed the way he approached his role in the group. His honesty didn't come with tears or theatrics. It came with acceptance, and that quiet confidence resonated profoundly. When Suga finally spoke, the tone shifted even further. Known for his blunt honesty, he spoke about the danger of staying silent for too long. He admitted that there were moments when he believed distance was safer than vulnerability, only to realize that silence often hurt more than difficult conversations. ARMY reactions exploded online at this point, with many fans saying they felt as if he was speaking directly to them, acknowledging the unspoken emotional contract between BTS and ARMY that had grown more complex over the years. That J-Hope's turn brought warmth and reassurance. But even he did not shy away from seriousness. He spoke about optimism not as something automatic, but as something chosen repeatedly, even when circumstances made that choice difficult. His words reframed hope not as constant happiness, but as resilience. For fans who had leaned on his brightness during difficult times, this felt like a revelation. Hope, it turned out, was not effortless, even for Young Hoseok. That Jimin's voice trembled slightly when he spoke, and that moment became one of the most discussed segments of the live. He talked about sensitivity as both a gift and a burden, about learning that caring deeply often meant feeling pain more intensely. He expressed gratitude toward the members for never asking him to be less emotional, only stronger in understanding himself. ARMY responses flooded timelines instantly, with many fans sharing how validated they felt hearing someone they admired speak openly about emotional vulnerability without shame. The V's contribution was quieter, but no less impactful. He spoke about identity, about feeling lost at times, even while standing under the brightest lights. His words carried an almost poetic sadness, yet they ended with a sense of peace. He spoke about rediscovering joy in small things, in art, in moments of stillness, and how those moments reminded him why he chose this life in the first place. Fans later described this as one of the most Taeyong moments of the entire live, understated yet deeply resonant. Then came Jungkook. The youngest member, often described as the group's golden center, had remained mostly silent throughout the live, listening intently. When he finally spoke, the shift was immediate. His words were simple, but their impact was immense. He talked about growing up in front of the world and realizing that strength did not mean never faltering. He admitted that there were times he felt afraid of disappointing others, afraid of not living up to the image people had of him. His honesty broke something open, not just within the Live, but within ARMY as a whole. Many fans later described feeling as though Jungkook had finally allowed himself to be seen, not as an icon, but as a human being. What made December 21st, 2025, feel like a turning point wasn't just the content of what was said, but the energy with which it was shared. There was no attempt to reassure ARMY with promises of constant presence or endless productivity. Instead, BTS spoke about balance, about sustainability, about choosing longevity over intensity. For a fandom accustomed to measuring love through constant output, this reframing was profound. It felt like an invitation to grow alongside them rather than chase an unattainable past. The live ended without dramatic conclusions. There was no countdown, no announcement that changed headlines instantly. They simply thanked ARMY for listening, for staying, for evolving with them. And yet, when the screen went dark, something lingered. Social media erupted not with speculation, but with reflection. Fans shared paragraphs instead of memes, gratitude instead of demands. Many ARMY described feeling strangely calm, as if a long-held tension had finally eased in the hours that followed. The phrase, turning point, appeared again and again across platforms. Not because BTS had revealed a new era or teased a major project, but because they had shifted the emotional foundation of their relationship with their audience. December 21st, 2025, marked a moment where BTS reclaimed their narrative not through spectacle, but through sincerity. They reminded the world that OT7 was not just a number or a slogan, but a living, breathing bond built on trust, honesty, and shared growth. For ARMY, this live felt like permission. Permission to let go of fear. Permission to accept change without interpreting it as loss. Permission to love BTS not for who they once were, but for who they are becoming. That is why this OT7 Live is being remembered not as a broadcast, but as a milestone. A quiet turning point where BTS and ARMY stepped forward together, not into certainty, but into something far more meaningful, mutual understanding.